Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Day Around Yak Ben, with a fantastic show for you. Players enter a whole new world as new skirmish rewards come in for WvW World, PvP updates before Season 7 ranked, the Centaurs have had enough of the farmers, and much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow host. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion. He may not have been the marshal of WvW World that we wanted, but he is the one that we need. Say hello to Jim.
Hi, everybody. And no, I'm not going to be marshalling anything. I could not take the stress of commanding, because the second you do something wrong, people jump on you, and I don't want to deal with that. I'll sit in the Zorg, thanks.
Come on.
Ooh.
I need someone to mooch off of. Jeez. And he streams over on his over on Twitch, where he answers the age-old question: do you think all of these puns and jokes are on their last thread? Say hello to Age.
I don't know, because I was thinking about, like, when was he in Wanted? I'm like, I have to double check.
I think he's the guy that gets hit by the keyboard.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah. I was like, anyway. Well, yeah, hi. Puns will never die, probably. They'll always be around. Yeah.
Well, let us jump right into it. So, real quick reminder, the Unity Gaming Organization's first tournament is this month, and if you want to watch the EU, it's actually this Sunday. Basically, for us, if you know, we go live on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, and on Sundays, if you watch us on YouTube, it's noon. Well, they're going live at 9 Eastern time, so as a reference there for anyone watching. So if you're watching live, you can definitely check it out. Don't know if they'll still be going 3 hours after. I don't know how long a tournament might take, but
I think it'll be like 5 hours. So.
Okay, so you might be able to catch the second half, but it is going to be on Jebro's stream, which is twitch.tv/JebroUnity, and if you're watching us on YouTube, the link will be in the description. And you know, it's kind of all leading up to Season 7 starting June 13th. But before we get to that, this past week, the June 6th patch dropped. We talked about it last week. We had some WvW World updates, basically a big kind of revamp to the reward system. It seemed like, for the most part, we were getting the PvP pip system into WvW World. Now, I think we've all dabbled with it a little bit. My question to you guys, is it pretty much the same thing as PvP's pip system, or is there kind of unique separations of it?
Age, do you want to go, or should I?
You go. I'll fill in the blanks, if anything.
Well, as far as I can tell, it's basically an additional keep playing and you get stuff. So just like PvP, if you do well, you get stuff faster, and if not, you get it slower, but you still get stuff. It's kind of one of those, this is a generic value reward, so you get generic, like, WvW related stuff, kind of like the PvP chests. You get generic PvP related stuff, and then you have the reward tracks that give you targeted stuff. So I think that's how they're going to do it from now on, is if they want to put value into it, like if you want to call it a raw gold value, they're probably going to put it into the pip system, and then if they want to put like skins or some other kind of specific reward, they're going to put it in as a reward track. So that's kind of how I feel they're going to run with the system from now on, for both PvP and WvW.
Yeah. So, just to fill in the blanks, the pip system does work based on what content you are doing. Yes, you do earn pips just for playing, but there are other things such as loyalty. For loyalty, you need to right now you need to be on a server. And you have to pass Wood Division or earn 100 pips in order to be considered loyal for that week, and you need 3 weeks in order to become loyal. And once you satisfy those conditions, you get loyalty pips. I think they said in the guild chat that they're going to change it to 1 week because people go on vacation and stuff. I'm not sure if that's a good idea at all because I feel like this actually the system they have now prevents bandwagoning, and I feel like a week's worth is just one match. So I feel like they should just keep it 3 weeks. If you go on vacation, just go on vacation, enjoy your vacation, come back, and just reset your stuff. Like.
So this loyalty system, this is something I didn't really look into because I don't know how much I'm going to WW. If you WW consistently, you will end up getting more pips.
So basically, if you stay on the server for 3 weeks, you will get extra pips because you are loyal to your server. And from what I could tell, as long as you keep that up, you'll always gain those loyalty pips. Now, if you miss a week, I think that's when you actually lose the loyalty bonus because this is supposed to be a thing for World versus World players who play almost exclusively World versus World. Like these are mainly for the World versus World players. There are other ways to get pips that you don't have to be an absurd 24/7 World versus World player, but this is just for them. Or this is mostly for them, for people who play World vs. World.
And
I think it's fine.
QED brings up a point that you need to participate, but yeah.
Yeah, you need to obviously you need to participate in the match, right?
Wait, I gotta play World v World in order to get pips? I'm done.
The pips are in World vs. World, so it kind of makes sense, Dale.
My anger's but yeah, so I mean, well, before we get our opinion on if we like the reward system or not, let's look at some of the stuff that you can get. The skirmish vendor will allow you to get ascended gear, but also, and we talked about at least last week some of the stuff that we could see, but now we have better screenshots. Definitely thank you to Dolphy for grabbing those screens. But first up, let's look at the actual tier 3 armor that you can get out of it from doing the reward tracks and the collections and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. On the left there, you see kind of the standard tier 3 armor, but when you do craft this, you actually get a secondary chest piece that I forget what, it's called Sublime. It's like the whole long line, but the difference of it is it's called Sublime, whatever the long exasperated, word is for it, because there's a lot of adjectives to these armors. But the Sublime version allows you to have these kind of strands that you see on the character on the right there. So, it's, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on it? I've seen chat already kind of hinting at it, like, they enjoy the sets kind of a little bit better than Legendarius, but some are saying especially for medium, but that's it's a whole nother story.
I have been seeing a lot of people say that they think this is so much better than the legendary armor, and Kate mentioned it looks better than the medium, looks better than the medium legendary, though in some people's eyes that's not very difficult to bypass the medium legendary. I kind of like the idea that they added the it's kind of a tier between ascended and legendary at this point, because it takes a fair bit of investment to get the sublime armor, right? Or sublime armor.
Yeah, you need to be a really high rank. You need to be over 1,000. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I thought people were saying the first part of it you need is like 2,000 rank.
Okay, QED says 2K.
Yeah.
Pat says 3K. I'm rank 70, so
in a week or two.
Yeah, just a week or two.
But
yeah,
I mean,
like
honestly, that's
10 or 15 celebration boosters. So
yeah. Okay, it's Netco saying it's from 15 to 2,000. So
yeah, that's what I thought. It's something like
2,000 for chest. Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty insane.
I kind of wish they would have just made it legendary.
Well, honestly, okay,
I like
yeah.
it. I like it because it's prestigious, right? You don't. It's a you. If you're new to the game, not new to the game, new to World versus World, you have to actually put in the work if you really want the armor. For those of people who have been playing World versus World this entire time, they get rewarded for their efforts. They get rewarded for being a World versus World player, and I kind of like that a lot.
Like that kind of rank requirement, I seriously feel like they should have just made this legendary armor exclusive to WvW.
Yeah, because I think that's the funny thing is this is actually higher rank than the preliminary stuff for what we're going to talk about in a bit, the legendary backpack. I think the legendary backpack's less rank requirement.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because there's a very interesting range for World versus World players. So I'd say if you're like a regular World versus World player, you're around 1,000 right now, 1,000, 1,200. If you've just been playing World versus World the entire time, you're probably 50K plus. But I think this meets you have to meet some sort of expectation where World versus World players don't have to work as hard to get the armor and still make it prestigious at the same time. And you also have to make it so that anyone new coming into World vs. World saying, oh, I can do this, It's not like I'm not going to come in here and just give up immediately, right? So it's kind of meeting all those thresholds, and I think Arena did it pretty well in this respect.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, looking at what Netco just said, is putting in something like the Bloodstone Fen stat changer in a WW, I think that would be a better idea. Like, if they didn't want to make it legendary armor, if they really just wanted to have legendary armor be a raid thing, give them a way to swap the stats on it. I think that, and have it be fueled by some kind of WvW currency or item that you can get by continuing to play, much like I think you need Bloodstone shards to change Bloodstone stuff from Bloodstone Fen. I don't have the changer yet, so yeah, I think that's a great idea for it.
Yeah, I honestly think. Hold on. There he is.
The cameras go everywhere.
I agree. I also think it's a fantastic idea.
So Inks, you agree that Timey should be the next Cormier?
Absolutely, absolutely. She is, isn't she? Kind of, a little bit. She's working on it. I'm Cormier. I'm Timey. I deserve this.
Timey, Cormy.
Look, guys, I love Timey. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, right now we were just talking about the new armor in World v. World and kind of the length of time that it takes, since kind of averages
Specifically for tier 3.
Yeah. And do you guys think that's a good? If that's good, if that's a good place of where it's at.
I agree with Age on the point that it's a really good way to set up the reward for WW players who have persisted effectively this entire time, and then it's also like I think QED said earlier that now they're both going that the tier 2, the tier 1 and 2 can be purchased at any point in time, so you can get that. It's just the look of it at the end that you want. If you want that, you have to persist, and honestly, that's one of the things that Guild Wars 2 has been doing with a lot of the really cool skins. You can get the power that you want fairly easily, but if you want the really cool look, you have to persist and go after big, lofty achievement style stuff.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, concerning legendary armor, I think it'd be cool to have it, and I don't think it'd be too bad to transform. Well, since we already have the tier 3 set in. I think that should be the precursor armor for legendary armor, if anything, and then people just have to do a little bit more for it, but that's it.
Well, that's kind of like the Sublime Chest. I mean, why isn't it legendary armor, basically, right? I mean, it's got, you know, it's not exactly the effects of legendary armor, but it's a pretty big effect on it, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty legendary.
Yeah.
You got like wispy
And
wings
for the
coming
amount
from
of work that you have to do for it. I mean, I think sort of the pip system, some of the rewards are a bit out of whack as for their cost. It's going to take you 2 weeks to get a ring, and that's just not true for other content in the game. So some of the lesser rewards I think are kind of out of whack. But the fact that you need rank 2000, as well as all of the other stuff that you need for the tier 3, why isn't it legendary?
Honestly, I would just have. I think playing up to 2K, because like I'm almost 600 now, I think. So I think by the time I hit 2K, I think I'll have most, if not all, of the materials I'll need to get all the armor.
Sure, yeah. But think about it this way: even veteran World vs. World players who are at 2K or above, and yes, they are earning more pips than normal, like newer players, but it's still going to be a long time before they can straight out afford tier 3 plus armor.
Yeah.
Like, and if you take into consideration that raids take you about 3 months to make legendary armor, I don't think it's too crazy to say that this could have been legendary armor for World vs. World.
Well, I would say give it like 3 months for legendary armor and raids is that's something that's just flat out like perfect running, right? Just you're clearing bosses every week.
You're doing 150 tokens a week, which is like
let's call it 6 months.
That. Yeah.
Like let's just double that. So, but still, it's half a year's worth of investment.
But we're not all QT. But
well, I think if you've been raiding, like Age, you've been raiding since day 1. You have all the tokens you need for legendary armor, right?
I just need Carnheart.
Well, see, so this is sort of what I'm getting at, right? And it fits, to me, this sort of fits all of the other prerequisites for legendary armor, right? It looks cool. It's got a special effect. It doesn't transform like the other armor per se, but doesn't necessarily have to. It's got the Sublime has the cool glow and the effects.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to get. There's a grind to it. There's a sync in there. It took 2 years to release. You know, it fits all of the things for legendary armor that you want. And I just think like a perfect example. So I started playing. I played World vs. World from 2012 to somewhere in 2013. Basically, after the second season, I started to really taper off in my enthusiasm for it. And now, of course, with the new rewards, I've gotten back into it. And I don't know. I feel like, because I have a set of legendary armor, it makes a world of difference in the type of builds that I have access to, how easy, like the legendary armor, yeah, okay, it looks cool. The real power or the real carrot for me is the fact that I can swap to whatever stats I need. I can easily switch the runes out. Like, there's so much convenience in that. That it makes it so that I can switch from World vs. World to fractals or raids like in a heartbeat without really having to worry too much.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. I think that's a huge convenience.
Well,
go ahead.
I'll say, and talk about Netco's top idea. Comment. Legendary armor costing 2K gold to craft plus the raids. I mean, like we said, if we want to be generous about it, raiding to get the legendary armor is going to take 6 months of pretty decent dedication.
Right.
How long does it take to get around 2000 rank? I mean,
that's a good question.
Anecdotal, but I think in the how long was I with you during your stream on Wednesday, Dale?
Probably like maybe an hour, right around there, maybe. Yeah.
In that hour, I got 5 ranks. Granted, I had a celebration booster on, which I think affects WWXP, but that felt like it was all going at a fairly decent clip. Like it was it's not like it was an exponentially larger. Like, I don't know what the experience progression is on ranks in WW. I don't know if it's linear, if it's the same amount of XP per level, or what. But it felt like 5 an hour, and with the Zerg we were running with, it was doing a fair bit of work. Like, we were staying relatively active the entire time. I know, Mac, anecdotal evidence, but that's all I got. I haven't had the time to run studies on it. It's only been 2 weeks since this shit came out. But I feel like as long as people stick with it, and I know WW is experiencing a massive influx of new characters, or of new players, which means it's more active. I hope it stays that way. But I feel like, if you play for 3 or 4 hours a day, that's 15 to 20 ranks. What? About a month of solid play, 2 to 3 hours a month and a half.
So, on average, staying to like the theory of like not everyone's going to play those 3-4 hours. Let's say it's less than that. It could span to like 2.5, 3 months, which is about the same time to get raid gear. But now the question is, so is the time investment to get all the way to the rank part, to get all the tickets on all the money to buy the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 armor, is it worth the investment of doing all the raiding required and getting all the materials required to get legendary armor? And I think that's the comparison you have to make in order to see if the tier 3 should be legendary armor or not. Or maybe ArenaNet adds another tier to make legendary.
Unfortunately, ArenaNet decided to not make this legendary armor. I mean, they could, down the line, add a tier 4 and make that legendary armor and add some gold sync in there if that's really the concern. But if they would have set out ahead of time saying, okay, this is going to be their legendary armor, they could have added that gold sync already. To make tier 2, you need to craft it, so there is a gold sync. It's not legendary 2,000 gold sync, but there is a gold sync in tier 2. Yeah. I'm not sure the ticket cost, because the ticket cost is the other limiting factor. Whatever these things cost in tickets, you can only get 175 tickets a week. And depending on your rank, let's say you're getting 3 to 4 pips a tick, that's going to take you, that means that in order to hit cap every week, you need to play something like 6 hours a day, which most people don't have 6 hours a day to play World vs. World. So it's going to take even longer than that, really, ideally, right? And that's for 175 tickets a week, which is a cap on, just like there is for Raid, which is 150. So, I mean, there's a lot of similarities. Obviously, it's missing some components to really, I guess, cost the same, to have the same parity to Legendary, but I think it's fairly close.
Yeah, and I was going to say...
think that,
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it's like cycling back, like, to the thing when Inks first came in, is, and QED's point about having the stat swapper as an extra item that you have to feed something. Do you lose, when you stat swap the trinkets in the back item from Bloodstone Fen, do you lose the enhancements in it, or does it just change the stats?
Yeah, if you don't, you need to take them out. You need to take your enhancements out.
Okay.
Which you can do. Just go to Fractals and buy the thing.
Fractal the extractor.
Right,
So,
you got to prepare it. Otherwise, you do lose it, yeah.
So you would lose it if you just change it with it in there. So I would say, with a rune investment in it, it would be just like, just create the stat swapper, have it cost like, I don't know, spikes or something silly, like something you'd get from doing WW, and then you feed the items. You feed the items into the stat swapper.
Badges, proof of heroics, maybe something. Yeah, I mean
something like that, and then you're good. You swap that out and you're fine.
Yeah, they could do it. They could definitely do it that way as well, for sure. And then that way that keeps you playing world versus world in order to change these things. You know, hardcore or world versus world players who play a lot are going to have those currencies. Like, it's not going to be that big a deal, but I think it's a good idea. Stat swapping is pretty important for world versus world. And the builds that you use in world versus world are generally different from those in PvE. Like, there's a lot of builds that just don't, like, they're very different game modes, right? So, you know,
Cough, Berserker / Viper, cough.
Some stuff is transferable, but generally speaking, you're going to be playing different builds with different stats and so on.
Yeah, I'm like, I need my legendary armor. I need to get these certain stats so I can do this thing. And like,
yeah, and I mean, honestly, I'm not like saying that this should like as is been legendary armor. Like, while like we're saying, it seems close. But maybe if they would have made it, you needed to be ranked 3,000 instead of 2,000 or 2,500. You know, what them playing with those numbers and adding more of a, you know, sync to make it equate. Like, from the look alone and like what some people have seen in chat and throughout this past week, a lot of people are liking the look of this more so than some of the legendary armor. So,
well, so here's an interesting thing. So I've been listening in. I'm not a big talker when I'm on Discord with the commanders and groups and stuff. I'm there to listen and follow orders and commands and so on. But they had I listened to a discussion last night amongst 20 or 30 world versus world players, and they started talking about, you know, well, what do I have to do to get tier 3? Because they weren't sure, or like, what do I need to prepare for? So some of them were talking it through, and one of the players was like, well, I'm just going to get the Sublime Chest because it's the only one that really, like, the effect is tied to the chest piece, and then the other stuff I don't really care about. So you know, I think it's important to sort of, you know, maybe ArenaNet can later on add, and I know we just got a feature back, we just got new rewards, but, you know, down the line, I think it would maybe be a good idea to add on to that set, maybe, and then they can sort of revisit the idea of making it legendary or making it stat swappable via an extra step or something. I just think it's a good idea for world versus world. You know, this way, PvE players don't really feel cheated because they have the same armor skin for a different acquisition method. World vs. World players don't have to feel bad because now they have to do raiding. Because some guy said, well, if you want real legendary armor, you'll just have to raid like the rest of us. And the guy's like, screw that, I'm not raiding, I don't enjoy it. So,
you mean the one game mode that doesn't need ascended quality stuff? Require, like,
right.
That's your reward. That never made sense to me. You don't need infusions. You know, supposedly you don't need the extra stat stat increase. I mean, so it's like that's the one
10%, roughly, like the 10% stat bump you'd get from going from exotic to ascended would not save you in WvW if you're going to die.
But anyway, the point of all this is that it was interesting to listen to player feedback on, you know, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, and what really drives them towards a particular reward. The one female who was being vocal was saying, look, I'm going to go for the chest piece because it's cool, I like the effect, but the rest of it, you know, so what, who cares? It's just ascended armor. I already have ascended armor, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of tickets just for tier 2. Q was saying here that it's like 1,450 just for tier 2. That's a lot of weeks of PvP, or world versus world, excuse me, at 175 a week. That's a lot of weeks. And tier 3 is going to be even more than that, right? Or at least in addition to, on top of that. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, so for a player like me who just plays world versus world every week, like just casually, I'm just going to do what I did for Raid and just pretty much just play. And then when I'm actually near the point of actually getting the end goal type of deal, I'll put more effort into that. Because right now I just want to enjoy playing the game, having fun with it, and just doing the encounters. And I get good loot out of it even as I go along, and that's what I liked about raiding. And that's what I liked about this. What I like about this patch, because one, it gives you good rewards as you progress towards things, and you still have that prestige factor for the old people who have been playing World versus World, it gives a barrier of entry that's decent for new players. And in the end, you could still get a lot of good end-tier stuff.
So have you guys talked about the pips and stuff yet?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, we did at the start.
So I think, like, I see Neko talking about outnumbered. I think
that.
They're fixing it?
I heard that they're going to fix that, I think.
Oh, I didn't. So I guess I'm behind on the news a little bit because I hadn't heard that. But, yeah, outnumbered seems to be kind of a little strong. Either the other pips need to be brought up to its level or it needs to be reduced a little bit because it does a couple of things. Number one, I'm not saying that outnumbered shouldn't be extra rewarded because you're losing, probably. Not always, but generally speaking, they have a greater number. It's probably not going so well. And I was on one or two of those maps over the weekend or during last week where that was happening. And it is nice to get that bonus. In fact, it's so nice that you get that bonus that players actively go looking for the outnumber bonus. And at least in map chat and stuff, I'm on JQ. They were calling out like which map has outnumbered and which one doesn't. So then players who are AFKing or whatever because they're just trying to let their participation run out so they get the maximum rewards, they would go to those outnumbered maps. Or you would have people who want to do minimal commitment. They get their participation to tier 3+, usually tier 6, let's just say. And then they just have to go kill a guard or take another camp back to keep their participation up and continue to enjoy the outnumbered bonus because it's 5 plus your rank plus your world's level. So you could be looking at, like, the average was like 9 for me when I was getting outnumbered, which is huge compared to the normal 3 or 4 that I was getting by actively playing and trying to win fights and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're getting 5 for outnumbered, like you guys, like you're saying, it's well over winning a skirmish. That shouldn't be the case, I think.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. It should probably be like 1 under winning a skirmish because I mean that's a pretty sizable bonus. To be fair though, you were talking about people searching for outnumbered maps. It's kind of a self-fixing problem for that particular issue because
so the story gets deeper, right? So what would happen was I was on a map with the commander where we were outnumbered and the commander needed more people. So he just kept spamming a map. We're outnumbered, come here. We're outnumbered, come here. So the people would load into the map so that we weren't outnumbered anymore. And he'd say, well, since you're here, join my tag so we can run around and take stuff.
See, this is my problem with these whole systems is people are trying to min-max a system that is designed solely to just reward you for being there. So it's very difficult and kind of cringy almost to min-max it. Because I admit the outnumber bonus is a little high. I do agree with you guys saying that. But if you just play the game and focus on actually taking objectives, you'll probably get just as much when you account for the time you waste searching for the outnumbered map.
Right.
Granted, if it was a better value. So
I just think like there's a couple of things I can do to tweak the system just a little bit. For example, we can't get loyalty yet because there's a whole big miscommunication with how you got loyalty and how that worked. But apparently you need to be on the same map for 3 weeks before you get the loyalty pip, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It was just communicated in an odd way that people misunderstood. So nobody is getting loyalty pip yet. But when you do get loyalty pip in another week or so, it's only +1. So even if you're, let's say you're low rank like me, which I'm 500 something, which you may not say that that's low, but considering a good deal of players that I seem to be grouped up with, 500 is not that impressive. So I get +1 pip for being 500. I'll get a little more once I pass 620. But I get 1 pip for that, and then I get 1 to 3 pips depending on how my world is doing. But let's say my world's doing terrible. So I get 1 pip, so I'm earning 2 pips every 5 minutes, plus loyalty, which would be 3 pips every 5 minutes. But if I just go to an outnumbered map, it's just better for me. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's a little weird.
I think I think that was the whole point of making it such a sizable bonus, was kind of one of those things where if you have to shift population from one map to another to really reward the people mounting a serious defense. Like, say you're on your Borderlands and your server is making a big push on Stone Mist to cap it in an off time because you want to capitalize on something else or somewhere else. You leave a few people on one map to defend a few key objectives, and you're supposed to reward them for being the ones staying behind. So it's more you're being rewarded for missing out on everything else that everybody else is doing. And right. I don't think the altruistic intent behind the heavy reward there is that people are going to come back to the map and you're going to not be outnumbered anymore. So I think that was the design intent behind it. But of course, when you release something to live, players are going to try and find a way to exploit everything. So
yeah, it's kind of ironic how both pip systems in PvP and World vs. World have some sort of problem like this.
Yeah.
I think the pip reward for outnumbered might work better if it scales up depending on the duration you've been outnumbered.
Maybe.
Get out of here. We're farming outnumberedness.
I think that they need to reward you a little more for actively playing and for like participating in stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's important. If you're outnumbered, that's not something you can always control, especially if you're on a low population server. It's not your fault necessarily. And I do think that there should be compensation for that. I just think that the compensation right now is so strong that you can easily get more for being outnumbered than you can get for winning, to being on like the winning team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels off. The numbers feel a bit skewed.
I think it's interesting because you have the initial participation that's supposed to say, okay, this person's actively playing World versus World, and then it's going to take the pips into account, like based on XYZ. For outnumbered, I feel like it just needs to be lowered. That's what I need. It feels like maybe 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're getting more than actually the team that's winning, that's ridiculous. But I like the idea that, hey, if you're on the ropes but you're taking down maybe a Goliath, yeah, maybe like I think Jim's recommended was given like the amount that like second place gets or something.
Or I honestly think the scaling up based on time, I think, would probably work. If you've been, say it's like every, I don't want to. I think like if you've gone through outnumbered and you get pips every 5 minutes. If you've gone through 3, like if you're outnumbered, you get 1, and if you've been outnumbered for 15 minutes, it goes up to 2, and then half an hour it's 3, and then it scales up to second place gets 4. Have it scale up to 4. That's an hour of being outnumbered.
Right. Right.
So, but it's still
because generally, believe it or not, the outnumbered pip will turn on and off quite a bit, depending on numbers that fluctuate on a map. Like you might be on the brink of outnumbered, and then like 4 people leave, and it's like boom, you're outnumbered. But then 5 people come in, you're no longer outnumbered, right? So it's like, it's funny because I've had like the outnumbered buff for 4 minutes. And then at the last minute, a bunch of people flood into the map, and you lose that buff. So then when it ticks over, you don't actually get outnumbered, even though you've been outnumbered for 3 or 4 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, if outnumbered lasts for more than 5 minutes, then yeah, I don't know, maybe there's a system that sort of works there.
Yeah.
And System 1 is basically talking my exact same point from a few minutes ago. It's just people are trying to game a system that wasn't really meant to, wasn't designed to be gamed.
But I think like players are there's a certain type of player who is always going to do that. They're going to try and maximize their reward, no matter, like ArenaNet says you're supposed to do A, and they're like, A is interesting, but what if I do D all the way around this end and it's just more rewarding?
Yeah. I feel like it's. I don't want this to happen, but I feel like it's going to be like a PvP Season 5 to Season 6 transition, where things are going to go bad, and I hope that doesn't happen. I really hope they don't take a hammer to the rewards, and they just ease into it. Just like do small transitional fixes and to get to that sweet spot. Now, I think to deal with the pip issue, they have to look at participation, because Sister does bring up a point where you're kind of just materially rewarded versus actually fighting, because you could just get your participation up, and as long as you like killed something, I guess, like one thing, you could still keep that participation.
I think that they could. This doesn't exactly super fix the problem, but they can raise the rate of decay on participation.
That would be good.
That way, you need to stay and be a little more active. That's not necessarily going to stop people who sit in spawn and just run out, but they'll have to run out more often to do things.
The one thing they'd have to do that is they'd have to have a kind of dynamic decay, because what about like low population times in general for a match? So if everything's dead and there's nothing to be taken at the moment, or you just don't have, like, say the enemy has stone mist, but you've done a lot of the havoc stuff that you can do elsewhere, and you just can't take anything. Although you still get participation if your participation doesn't decay if you're in a fight, right? You don't have to actively take an objective. No, you have to kill something.
Spawn should get 0 points. Actually, now I think about it.
Yeah, if you're sitting in spawn, if you're within your spawn area, I don't think you should get rewarded. Well, I suppose it should be if you've been in spawn for too long. Because there are points in time where you'll go back, say if you've been building up siege golems and you're going to assault something.
Yeah.
Like if the Zerg comes back and is prepping,
there needs to be some leniency.
Yeah.
And Wispy Gem, you ask an interesting question about, is the outnumbered thing an issue, though? It depends on what servers you play on and what times you play at. If you play sort of the oceanic times, let's say you live in North America, or even in Europe, we'll have oceanic times. But if you play during the oceanic times, then the maps are not deeply as queued or at all during those times. And as the week progresses on, the further the week goes on, by the time you get to, say, like Wednesday, Thursday, then there's going to be a lot less population as well. People attrissively just, they're like, I played a ton of World vs. World all weekend long, into the beginning of the week. By the end of the week, either they're doing other things or they just don't have as much time or whatever. And this is especially true for like end of the week pips. I was playing to get to platinum the first week, and it was becoming more and more difficult to find people commanding and running around actively doing stuff together, because they're preparing for reset. Reset is a very big deal. Try and get in an active map at reset, and the fights are very intense at reset for the first couple of hours, so it is definitely a thing. And for the lower population servers, you can definitely find those maps where they're outnumbered. They're actively looking for them.
And Pinks brings up a good point. People will do anything to do nothing.
Yeah, and we'll be definitely talking about that later with some of the other stuff. But yeah, and honestly, this isn't a perfect system. It's the first time, it's the first week it's out. Hopefully they're going to be doing tweaks. Like Age said, he heard something about they might be dealing with the outnumbered thing. I do agree with Age. Hopefully they don't do a PvP scenario of taking a hammer to everything, and because I don't know if World v World could bounce back. I mean,
small adjustments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's the other thing too, that I know we need to move on to other topics, but this was a great. People started talking about content, which is really strange. This is a feature pack. It's about a feature. It's about rewards. It's not about content. And just playing World vs. World over the weekend, certainly I am not an expert. I don't claim to be. It's not my main mode, regardless of how much fun I've had over the last week and a half or so. But World vs. World needs even more changes. It definitely needs more balancing done to the actual game mode itself. That was apparent like right away. And to talk about very early on when I tried to get in and There are some classes, there are some classes and definitely some builds that don't perform very well in World vs. World. And because it can be a rather competitive game mode, there are a lot of people, or there are a number of people, who playing more optimally is important to them. And it's not exactly like a raid scenario or a raid group, but for example, if you play a ranger, more importantly a druid, in a Zerg environment, you're not as useful as an elementalist or a guardian, for example. Even playing, I can feel it myself because I get less rewarded than some of those other players. I get less kills. I can only provide so much support, and depending on how large the fight is, that burst healing is fantastic at first, but as the fight attrisses on, it wanes on the ranger, on the druid specifically. Not only that, but you'll have players come in who are playing build X, which, you know, depending on that, can be even less helpful to the group in staying alive. I had a fight last night where there was about 25 of us, and we had an enemy in a tower here and an enemy in a keep here, and they had more people than we did, but because the composition in the group I was in was so tight as far as how many guardians they had, necros, I mean, I was the odd man out because nobody else was playing druid, right? But I said, look, I'm playing a mythical druid, and the commander was like, oh, that's cool, that's fine, you know, let me join the group. But we kept ping-ponging back and forth. We would wipe this group, completely decimate them, and, you know, this group's running at our tail. We would just turn around and decimate them. And we just kept going back and forth for a good 45 minutes, just destroying both groups. And, you know, they had probably 10 to 15 more people than we did, but the composition was such that it was so much tighter than the other two groups that we're just able to outmaneuver, out-heal, outpower them, outboom them. Like, it's just crazy how important that can be to, you know, a medium to large size group like that. And maybe not so. I can't speak for every server, but the server that I'm on, it's rather important to a number of the commanders. Not every commander, don't get me wrong, but it is rather important. So you will definitely see and experience, if you play some of the classes who are less effective, that you may get bumped if the group gets maxed out, let's say, which does happen in like EBG, for example. Maybe not the Borderlands so much, but EBG is like constantly queued. But you will definitely see that, you know, let's say you play a thief, for example, who is in Zerg play, not super effective or super wanted. It's not uncommon for them to get bumped for a warrior who is playing whatever build. I don't know. I don't play warrior, so I don't know. Whatever build a warrior's playing, or guardians, for example, because they're rather important to the group for stability and so forth. And I know some people hate that, but I haven't run into too many overly rude people, but it does happen. And I will say this, the groups that I have played with, four different commanders, all seem to have the policy of they will look for people running weird builds, and they will whisper them and say, hey, you may want to try running whatever build it is. Elementalist, for one, there's some things, if they notice a bunch of signets or something, they know that that's incorrect or whatever. Again, I don't play Ellie, so I don't know. And they'll say, hey, it would be super helpful to the group if you could run whatever it is they want them to run, auras and whatnot.
Yeah. And that, I love that. I love hearing that people are being helpful instead of angry.
Yeah. It's been my experience more often over the past week and a half. I ran into one angry person in a week and a half, which is not bad. Now, there's always a little bit of trash talk that happens, but I'm talking about a really toxic, angry person. In a week and a half, I ran into one person who didn't want me in the group whatsoever. I said, hey, he says, no druids or no rangers, he said. And I said, okay, but I'm playing a healing minstrel. I don't care. I ran into one, like, I guess, mean or toxic person who just didn't want me there. He didn't want me part of his group, whatever he was doing. But everybody else has been very accommodating. I just tell them, look, I'm playing a healing minstrel, and they're like, okay, cool, that's fine. If you're going to heal and play the build, then that's awesome. And the other times I have noticed them talking. Again, I don't speak up. I'm just there to listen and you know, enjoy the game mode. But, you know, the Rangers, it happens quite often. And Elementalist, I notice, for whatever reason, seems to happen quite often, where they're running some weird build, or if they see a base Ranger who's not a Druid, they'll say, hey, you should really check out support Druid or healing Druid, whatever.
Yeah.
But Inks, you're making it so they can't get to, you know, their awesome chance for their legendary backpack, which is one of the other rewards that you can get, you know, through as you're trying to get all your pips and stuff, which you can see the different tiered versions of it here. But this is the other thing you can kind of get out of War v World that has sprung up from this last patch. You guys' thoughts on it? I know we talked you know, a bit about the final look of it last week, but now that we know what it takes and all that kind of stuff,
There's one thing about it, and it's one of the gifts is called Gift of Conquering that you need to make after you buy all the. So basically, for those who don't know, it's basically like the PvP back piece. You buy 4 different tiers of it, you combine them, and then there's other separate things. But and one of the gifts is called Gift of Conquering, and one of the items you need to make the gift is called Legendary Spike, which is a random drop from kills from either players or NPCs. And I'm just sitting there, it's like, how long is this going to take to drop for me? This is what I'm wondering.
I got one in the hour that I played with Deo.
Oh, okay.
Lucky. That's pretty lucky.
Pretty good.
It's funny because I was watching Teapot the other day, and he's like, I've got 4 of them or something. And I'm like, I played for 2 hours one day, and I didn't see any. And then I played for like 5 hours the next day, and I seen 7. So it's just random.
Apparently, you just have to play with me.
I just wanted to know that I didn't see one. I don't know if I accidentally sold one, but I just wanted to know because I personally have not seen one yet. But yeah,
I hate the fact that it's sellable to a vendor for gold.
I may have sold it. Oh crap.
No, you would know. It's purple. It's legendary.
It's purple. It's actually legendary. But
does it give you a warning, like everything else in the game that you always want to try to get rid of?
I don't know. I haven't tried selling it because I would actually like to try and keep them and maybe go for the backpack. My quick thoughts on the backpack. It sits entirely too high on the shoulders of tall humanoid characters. So Norn, Sylvari, humans. Looking at it, it sits entirely too high on the shoulders. Like, as you can see, even from the tier 1 of it, you can barely see the character's head. So I feel like you're almost like you would expect your character to be like walking hunched over, trying to keep it balanced. So I feel if they just kind of dropped it a little bit, it would be much better. But that's me. My second thought is going off of Age's complaints about the legendary spikes. Basing something like this entirely off of RNG drop rate is a terrible idea. With zero way to give a guaranteed amount of progress for some kind of investment, I think it's a terrible idea. Like, I think you should, I don't know, be able to buy a spike for a few proofs of heroics or something.
So
I don't know what kind of currency would be a good idea for it, but like something that you'd think about, like the Druid Runestone in Draconis Mons. You can get 5 shards a day. So you can get 1 stone a day total. 1 from the Unbound Magic vendor and 1 from each of the Heart vendors. It would be a much better idea. Like, you can get them to drop randomly, but I think that there should also be, you can buy X number of these a day. Or maybe just 1 a day. I don't know. But I don't like the idea of having this random drop be the only acquisition, because RNG is RNG. Clearly, we were just talking about it. I saw 1 in an hour. Ink said he didn't see 1 in 2 hours. It's not.
Yeah,
great.
it's funny because that, those first couple of days when everybody's getting new loot, it's just guild chat is just, I got one. Welcome to the club. Yay, the legendary spike club. Ah, it's amazing. And I'm like, I don't have any legendary.
But yeah, you only do need one to make it.
Yeah. Oh, you only need one?
Yeah, I was just curious because I didn't see one, and I played.
I just wanted to said more.
I played about, I guess, 9-10 hours of World. Nice.
That's pretty unlucky, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
were you zerging or were you playing roaming though?
Dude,
roaming.
He's roaming.
Yeah, that's probably why. But
you probably kill a lot less people when you're roaming than in a zerg, right?
I did like run to zergs when they're taking big objectives, but that's about it. But yeah, I don't mind because it'll take forever to get all of the 4 back pieces, so I'll eventually get one. So it's not that big of a deal for me. I was just curious about the RNG of it.
Okay, cancel my earlier statement. For whatever reason, I thought when I read the tooltip before, I was mixing up the lines in my head. I thought it said 250 legendary spikes.
No.
1 spike and 250 memories of battle. So.
No. Oh, and just for people who don't know what I do in World War, I do roaming a lot more. I don't mind Zergs, I don't mind Havocs, but just roaming is my preferred style, and I kind of have to fix it a little bit. But you know, it's just.
Well, I'm just saying because this is a possible drop from killing players and killing NPCs. So
it is, yeah.
You know, you're running around killing. I don't know how many people you kill in an average play session, but you know, I lose count because, you know, you hit a Zerg. At one point, we were defending SMC, and both servers just kept hitting it with groups of 50 people. Well, I mean, you know, you do 3 or 4 runs of those, it's bound to drop after killing 300 or 400 people, you know.
I gotta go back and look at the one when we were doing it, because I think I got at least 1, maybe 2 of those spikes during when we were playing that other night. But I find it funny. I didn't know they were like really like rare, but that thing drops and I can't get the freaking Siege Master's spoon. God.
The Siege Master's spoon was funny. It took me a while to drop. That one took a while to drop. Years ago. When did the Siege Master spoon come in? That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I just never got around to it.
Spoons is when the collections came out. So
yeah,
that was like 6 months before Heart of Thorns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going for the Siege Master spoon. There was a lot of hours into that one. Oh boy.
Son of.
We should probably switch to different.
Well, I was gonna say, overall, how do you guys feel? And not with World v. World as a whole, but the thing that they implemented, which was the reward system, because that's, you know, what was implemented, not, you know, everything else, which hopefully will be fixed down the road or changed, or, you know, because they are trying to do that with polls and whatnot. But
it's a good start. It has its issues, but it's a good start.
I like it. Again, it has prestige value for people who played World vs. World. It allows new players to come in, and it allows them to get started on those rewards as well. Rewards are good. Pips need work. That's honestly about it. And we could talk about legendary armor like down the road, but I think right now it's a pretty solid system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was a good start, not without bumps in the road or hiccups or whatever. But I think this is a good start. I want to see more from them, though, because there's a lot. Yes, this helps rewards. Yes, this is going to entice some people to get into World vs. World, hopefully for the right reasons. But World vs. World definitely needs more attention. And if this week has proved anything to me, it's that this is a game mode that really could use a lot of love from ArenaNet and can really be a big staple for this game, for this franchise. And I know that there's a lot of other games coming on the horizon that will offer realm versus realm, and players are definitely going to go and try those out, and that's fantastic. But it's just a shame that it's taken this long to get to this point. But regardless of that, they really need to take the ball that they now have and run with it. Because you have people's attention. You got their attention, right? You got the advertisement out there. play World vs. World. It's got rewards. You know, you got the advertisement out there, but now you need to follow that up with more.
Yeah, I hope we see a very publicized poll coming up so they can capitalize on this high of, you know, maybe they found, like, new people found where we were like, hey, this is, you know, fun and interesting, and it's like, oh, they're like, you know, working on it even more. Okay, I'll vote on it. Like, so hopefully we'll see a poll coming up here shortly, because this was the last poll that we saw, which was the reward system. They just said it was going to take, you know, a while, which here we are. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a great start. It definitely triggered the Skritt in me, because I loved seeing like the pips like popping up. I was like, I don't even know what these are for. I know I'm a horrible PvEer. I'm sorry, but you know, that was, you know, so I think the reward system was a very good start. Definitely needs tweaking, like we talked about before, but you know, hopefully we will see that stuff. But other things that got updated, some PvP updates. Shards of Glory Converter can now be used a consistent 5 times per day. So, yay! Audio cues have been added to capture points. The mini Princess Llama has been added to the Llama Mini Choice Box. You need to unlock it to buy more from the League vendor. But I think Inks loves it. I think he's about to be like, let me go get that right now.
I don't even have the first llama done. I mean, I'm still working on the first. I'm sure there's people out there who have all of them. I'm still working on the first one. It feels like, it's not every season, but it feels like every season there's a new llama. I guess that's the thing for PvP.
I mean,
this llama's in a tutu. I mean, I don't know what else. It's silliness beyond silliness, I guess, but whatever. You want a silly mini in a tutu? We got a Princess Llama for you.
that rhymed too.
Boy.
Ascended Shards of Glory per chest have been revised for Season 7. So Cerulean's going to net you 25, Jasper's 50, Saffron 75, Persimmon 75, Amaranth 75, and Byzantium, which is repeatable, for 100. So is that good? Is that better than what we've had?
I think that's more.
Yeah, it's better than last season.
Yeah.
This nets you 100, 200, 150. So that's 400 when you finish Byzantium for the first time.
Yeah,
which is pretty decent.
It's better. We'll have to play. Well, I'll have to play anyway on my side to figure out whether it's worth my time.
That's pretty much a chess piece, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Also, the Persimmon, Amaranth, and Byzantium, the not repeatable versions, now give a box containing 1 Grandmaster mark of the player's choice. So, nice change. Ranks are being revised for Season 7. Bronze is 0 to 899, Silver 900 to 1199, Gold 1200 to 1499, Platinum 1500 to 1799, and Legendary is 18 plus. Is anybody getting shooken up from that? Are you?
This is mostly because of the changes to matchmaking. It kind of made it hard for people to get into Legendary, or like people who are supposed to be in Legendary weren't in Legendary, so they revised the ranks according to that, based on that. So, I mean, technically I'm Gold 3 now, so yay.
I think the Grandmaster mark change is hilarious, personally. So it means that I'm going to get a free piece of Ascended gear every season from that vendor, and I'm not going to buy any more from that vendor at all. I honestly think that this is kind of their thing of like, maybe if we like give people a free one, they know that the mark exists, because I don't know anybody who's bought those things.
Yeah, I still think Grandmaster marks in PvP was not a good decision, but I don't think they can exactly take it back now, because it means, yeah, I don't know. I honestly wanted what I would have preferred, much preferred, is that they don't have the marks, but just have a higher cost for the gear. I would have much preferred that. But
it's this idea of them trying to unify the system. The problem is that a crafting system for PvP players doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You know, they just want to PvP. They just want to fight, and maybe stick their toes into PvE once in a while, or World vs. World, or wherever, right, where the armor can be useful. Yeah. But to expect them to go and have to craft up to, is it 400 or 500? Whatever it is, it's quite a bit.
I think it's 500.
It's 500%, yeah.
I mean, it's quite a bit to ask a PvP player to go and do when really they just want a PvP.
Yeah. And I did make a video about this, and it's basically talking about an ecosystem where PvP players don't really have that sense of wanting to go into PvE or PvP content, like raids, for example, because, you know, they don't have the gear to do it. So it's like, I'll just stick with PvP then. But the Ascended vendor gave them that viability into entering different modes where, you know, gear is kind of important, and you could go into those high tier content. You can go into the hot maps and not worry about dying because you only have level 50 exotic gear or something like that. But the marks kind of just ruined that in that respect. So this is their kind of way of going a little bit back, but I still don't think it's enough. I feel like Byzantium Repeatable should at least offer 1 Grandmaster mark every time.
I can agree with that, yeah.
Cool. Also, the Ardent Glorious armor and Ascended weapons from PvP League vendors now include Shards of Glory as part of their cost, and Ascended salvage tools have had their PvP League ticket costs reduced. So, at least you can get Ascended salvage tools. Does it bring it more in line with, like, getting them through PvE?
The Ascended salvage kit in Fractals is like 1 gold for 1, or I forgot how much. I don't really buy them a lot, but maybe it does. I haven't checked, but maybe it does. If so,
okay.
Good job.
Also, Eternal Colosseum and Revenge of the Capricorn have been added to the ranked pool. Is that good or bad for
They
PvP?
forgot to remove the beta from Capricorn's map name then.
Also, the Eternal Colosseum has got a visual update, so while you're in ranked, you can always, you know, see how pretty it looks.
I'm not sure how I feel about the ranked maps, them being added to ranked map, because I feel like they're thief maps where I could just go around and decap, and very rarely people will stop me.
Not so much anymore, with Colosseum at least. They added a ledge, a big fence across the ledges by the artifacts, and you can no longer blink up there. There's also a secondary platform drop down from that ledge. There's the bottom gates on artifacts drop as usual, but then another gate opens up top, and there's a ledge down, so you don't just take fall damage and run slow for a few seconds. So you don't have to take fall damage going down there. They've also Dragon and Lion are no longer up on top of ledges, so people with blinks don't have an unfair advantage effectively around that area. So they've made it much less thiefy, I guess would be the word for it.
Yeah, I still think it's going to be good because I'm not really prioritizing the relics more so than the caps themselves, where I can just blink over that ledge where people have to walk around in Colosseum. And for Revenge of Capricorn, it's just a really big map, and you know
they shrank it recently.
I still think it's really big.
Too big still?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a personal opinion. Take it as you will. I mean, they're good maps. It's just that, I mean, you know,
I think Colosseum is ready for ranked. I don't know about Capricorn. Colosseum is going to trigger everybody though, because the mini map, it's tilted Slightly.
Coliseum.
Well, like the Coliseum is a perfect oval, but on the mini map, it's tilted just slightly.
I don't know what it is about Coliseum,
bugs
but
me.
I lose on Coliseum all the time. Can't stand it.
But
anyway,
all in all,
more maps, which is actually good.
Yeah.
More variety.
Yeah, so I can't wait to hear how it pans out next week when the season starts.
Yeah.
So, let us talk about some AFK farming and Lake Doric changes. So,
Yay.
for people that never think that ArenaNet's listening and looking unless you actually tag them, you're wrong. So they've added some changes to Lake Doric, particularly in the Centaur area. So trebuchets will rain down fiery shots within the Centaur stronghold to assist the Centaurs. This change is intended to discourage players from AFKing in the Centaur stronghold. And so, biggest question is, did it work?
I don't know, Inks. Does it work?
Sort of. Although they tweaked it again last night, and I haven't been back to check it out. I actually sort of gave up on it and deleted the engineer. I had fun while it lasted. Well, I mean, okay, but my engineer was only to do the farm, literally. Like the only reason I had him there was, his name was "Don't Kill My Farm." He was literally only there to farm. So when they changed it, it didn't kill the farm. What happened was there's an entrance with like a wooden door frame sort of thing, and the engineers would sit on top of the door frame that the centaurs run through, and they would place all their turrets on the door frame because the catapults couldn't hit them. The trebuchets couldn't hit on top of the door frame. So they would just all sit there. Yes, you could still semi-AFK just like before, but there were a lot less people doing it. The bag return or the rate of return in general was way worse than before, and it wasn't that great to begin with, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people were complaining about the semi-AFK for engineers, but the rate of return wasn't that amazing. It was okay, but you're much better if to go and farm silver wastes or something, but then I guess you're actually playing, so whatever. But the rate of return was to the point where I just didn't feel like bothering with it anymore. Yes, it still worked. Yes, you could still do it. I seen a post from somebody in Bitterfrost standing on top of these like ice spikes or something. They set their turrets up there, and then this way the Svanir who spawn in that area, they just kill them and they don't ever touch you. So the AFK farm is still existent in different places. Necros were really, I tweeted this out and a lot of people hated this, but Necros were really bad the other day in Bitterfrost. There were 2 Necros on every single berry tree I went to. It's exaggerating a little bit, but there was at least 12 Necros AFKing on the map that I did a berry farm on like 2 days ago when I tweeted it. So, you know, my thing is like Chris Cleary went on and he made this big post about how this AFK farm is bad for the game, and that's why they did something about it. And I don't disagree with what he said. I think he wrote a great post. I think he's right in many respects, and I don't begrudge ArenaNet at all for putting a trebuchet in and blasting the engineers out of there. The bigger problem, I think, was that so many engineers were gathered in one spot. So I understand why they did it, but then you need to do that to these other AFK farms if you really believe what you said. If you really believe that AFKing like that is bad, then you need to go where the biggest culprits are. There's a spot in Ore where Necros will sit and farm sparks for charged lodestones and for the lesser ones. Sit there all day AFKing, and the sparks will spawn and spawn and spawn and spawn. There's the Svanir spot in Bitterfrost. There's the berry spots in Bitterfrost. There's 5 or 6 different spots where these guys go and just sit in AFK. And I don't have a problem with AFKers. I really don't. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But if you really feel what you wrote about engineers, that this is bad for the game and blah, 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 this hurts new players coming in and it hurts sales of the game and all this other stuff, if you really believe that, then doing it to this one spot is like, I don't know, it's like you're targeting a specific group rather than the actual problem of AFKing minions and such.
I have to say I completely agree with that. If they're going to start this now, they have to follow through and do all of the other AFK farms. Just
add trebuchets everywhere.
Well, maybe not trebuchets. Maybe the one for Malkor that still has the random dragon shadows flying overhead. Maybe if the flying Orion dragons that notice you standing still will drop poison clouds on top of you, or something.
And you want to whatever solution you come up with, you don't want to hurt players who actually want to play the content there.
Right.
Like you want players to play that content. And it's funny because I had this discussion in map chat about the Necros, and the Necros were like, first of all, I'm not AFK, I'm watching Netflix. And I'm like, okay. Sure. I did it with the NG farm. I get it. You're not AFK, but you're talking to me. I get it. I did the NG farm. I did the same thing. I understand. And then another one was like, you should be thanking us because we're providing a service helping you keep the berry spots clear so that you can just run up and get the berries and run away and not have to fight anything. And I'm like,
no. What?
First of all, I want to fight things because I get extra karma. And now I know most people don't care about that. But secondly, are you really trying to spin this as you provide a service for other players by protecting the berry spot? Because
you just go like my hero. La, la, la,
first of all, you're not protecting the spots that are there with the dangerous trolls and stuff. You're protecting the spots with like spiders that spawn that are way less annoying than the ice trolls and so forth.
I totally agree with Carnifex on that, actually. And that's actually what they did in World of Warcraft with hunters originally. Is there was a problem when the game released where hunters were just letting their pets kill things for them. And in order for you to get credit, loot, or experience, the player has to tag the enemy as well.
Right, but the problem with, that works for engineers, but for Necros, it doesn't stop them because, as Kate is saying, they put Greatsword 4 on auto, and it just keeps casting it. So the Greatsword 4 will hit the enemies and tag them. And
fair point. There's no auto.
It doesn't stop. Right. It doesn't stop Necro. It stops engineers, but it doesn't stop.
Auto cast breaks. Oh, it would reactivate while in combat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. They just put down Greatsword 4, and then so it doesn't stop Necros, but it stops engineers for that kind of thing. And honestly, if there's whatever the solution is, I don't know. And I'm not even necessarily promoting that they should do something about it. But I think if you're going to make a public statement like that about the engineer farm and about AFKing and how terrible it is for the game, then you can't just pretend that engineers are the only culprits and this is the only spot it happens in when that's not remotely true. And I do understand, like Chris had said something about like macroers and stuff were a real big problem. Okay, get rid of those people. And I guess they did, right? I guess they were actively looking for that and getting rid of them. Again, I have no problems with any of that. It's just like you make a statement saying you are anti-AFK to an extent, not totally, but to an extent you make this statement that this is bad for the game, and that's why you added these trebuchets to stop this from happening, but then you ignore it in other areas of the game. And I just don't think that that's, I don't know, I'm at a loss for the right word there, but I don't think that's right.
It's not consistent with what their ideals.
Right. It's not consistent.
Yeah. So while you guys are saying, it looks like it has definitely diminished the AFK farm in Lake Doric, but like you're saying, this is kind of a drop in the bucket. Like they gotta kind of be consistent and go with the rest of them, which who knows, they might, but yeah. Like.
Well, that's a good point, Fox. You're right. A lot of people talked about the NG farm, almost bragging about it in some ways, right? Like, I'm AFKing ArenaNet. And people would come and say, you should stop doing this, NGs. It's not good for the game. You're bad people. And NGs were like, wank off. Get away from me. Get out of here.
Wank off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't mind it because it didn't really, I mean, outside maybe the champion, I guess. It didn't really affect like people's gameplay because it's kind of the out of the way. It's supposed to be a farm area, I guess, but they're just not doing it in the proper way. But
so I actually was talking about this and on Twitter a while ago. It feels, and again, I'm going to trigger Mac in chat here because this is anecdotal again. It feels like leather drops in general have fallen off because I haven't crafted gear or anything really in a very long time. And when they were on sale previously, damn it, Slim. When the Salvage-O-Matic was on sale recently, I mean, I have the Copperfed Salvage-O-Matic. I salvage everything. So if I can get leather out of something, I'll get leather out of it. I have tons of orichalcum. I have tons of ancient wood. I have tons of everything out, like the tier 5 mats, mithril, elder, heavy leather. Coarse leather, I had 7 refined pieces versus the 150 or so I have of orichalcum. I have 350 gossamer. So it feels like the leather drop rates after they released the patch for crafting has seriously dropped off because it's been like I said, it's been a really long time since I've had to craft anything. Now, when I was talking about this on Twitter, one of the people that follow me gave me a graph of TP stats for tier 6 leather, and the only thing that's really changed is the top sell prices on the leather. Like the volume of buying and selling for leather hasn't really changed, and this is from before the leather farm to now. The top sell prices have dropped a little bit, but the top buy prices, like the lowest buy prices have mostly stayed the same. The buy prices have dropped, the sell prices have stayed the same, and then volume there was a fluctuation. There was the speculation leading up to it, and then Mo's like, leather farm, and then everything plummeted. And after that, when the leather farm was introduced, everything's basically just leveled back up to pre-speculation boom. So it has literally done nothing to the economy on leather.
Well, the drop rate's not even that great, and the entry farm really wasn't a great. I mean, it was okay for tier 5, not amazing or anything, but even if you do the leather farm, it's still kind of minimal.
Right, and the problem, and my optimistic mind is thinking, well, you kind of have to remove the cheese farming strategies to it, and then, you know, how many people are in this area, because they can find the metrics on that. How many people run this all the time? How much does this item drop? If people aren't doing it, they need to buff it, because the whole point of making the farm is to make people feel like their time is rewarded for targeting a certain material. So I'm cautiously optimistic that when they remove this, they will see that it has literally done nothing for the economy, and they will change the farm drop rates so that they will actually increase. What is it? The bloodstone infused leather salvage item or whatever it is. They need to increase the drop rate of that. If it hasn't really done anything for the actual leather economy, they need to fix that.
This all stemmed from the fact that they changed the crafting recipes
to artificially pump up the price of leather. I know.
To need an abundant amount of leather for no suit. Like, if you make a legendary weapon, you need a ton of tier 5 leather to make into the Ascended leather.
Yep.
Like, you need a ton. It's ridiculous. You don't need a ton of anything else. When you're making light armor, you need more leather than you need the silk scraps. It doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think one of the bigger problems is, and then they introduced the Grandmaster marks that we talked about earlier. They're not making use of the materials we already have for crafting. We're basically getting inundated with crafting items that have maybe 1 or 2 different uses, and then we just need a crap ton of it too. So,
yeah, there's I always feel like this when something new gets added to the game, and don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against new things getting added, but there's so many currencies and crafting materials added since Heart of Thorns. When you have things like blade shards that have very minimal use. Now they're not as easy to get anymore, but it's still possible. And you have toxic spores that have very few uses. And you have the foxfire, which falls from trees, that have like almost, besides Maudry, has like no uses, right?
Yeah.
So you have materials that only have a couple of uses in the game. Like, why not use more of those things than we're sort of getting off topic, I guess, but I don't know. I always thought that there were some materials that have very few uses that they could expand upon the uses of for those materials, rather than create a brand new material and bloat your material storage and so on.
Well, I mean, is there any other thoughts on the AFK farming? Because you're saying we're getting off topic, but you're kind of leading us right into the next topic of all those bloated materials. I mean, you got to put them in your storage, but what happens when that fills up? Or it's not even in the storage? Well, luckily, we've talked about this in the past, but there's been kind of like a little more information. Lindsay Murdoch has put out a forum post of the process for deciding and adding material storage slots. Detailed in her post was like 22 steps, but then she kind of told us the items that she was wanting to implement and was hoping to hopefully try to maybe alleviate some. But from the sounds of it, knowing at least me as a hoarder, I'm like, like all of them. And she's like, no, that wasn't the idea. She was like, that's not the idea. But it's like, yeah, no, I see they're all there. Yeah, you got. But yeah. So what are your guys' thoughts on the additions to material storage? And are there any good ones that are going to be super helpful for everyone?
There's a lot of things.
The ascended crafting materials, like lesser vision crystals. All of the currency items, like the metal plates, the chalk eggs, the there's another one, I can't remember what it is right now, but stuff like that, that is technically a currency. What the hell was the other one?
Are chalk eggs... Well, I know, I guess they're used to make legendary armor. I take it back. I was going to say, they used to actually craft anything, but they are.
Shimmering and tenebrous crystals and blade shards.
Yay.
Yeah, really.
I'm gonna have a lot of space now because most of my inventory is full of stuff you craft for legendaries, like not like the super rare things like the gift, not like Twilight's essence or whatever. I mean like vision crystals, rune stones, I said vision crystals, but I do use vision crystals quite a bit. Doubloons, amalgamated gemstones, all that stuff. That's going to be in storage, and that's really helpful for me.
It'll definitely free up a little bit of space for me. A little bit.
I'm kind of confused on some of these, like icy rune stones are getting a storage slot apparently, and a lot of other stuff that are things you would just buy and then use, as opposed to.
Yeah, there was somebody had said something to her about she made room for like Eldritch Scrolls, for example, which you buy off. I was gonna say Timey. Jeez. Miani, however you say her name. Anyway, and he was like, well, he or she was like, well, is this really necessary? Because you buy them when you need them, and I mean, I do have extra in my bank because and that was her response. She says, some people overbuy these things just to make sure they have enough when they're crafting whatever they're crafting, and then now you have to store them in the bank. And she's like, it's just nice to be able to put them in storage. I mean, that storage list looks gigantic. It looks huge. The work that she's put into it, her and whoever is helping her, the people who are helping her, I mean, I can't wait till it comes out. I'm actually kind of excited for. I mean, I'm a hoarder like Deo in a lot of ways, even though I sell materials quite a bit when I need money. But I try to hoard. I try to be a hoarder, and keep those things. And yeah, I'm interested. I think I haven't really gone over the list to be like real nitpicky about it, but
Well,
Some
I know
definitely- some
I know the
definitely
one
useful
thing that
things.
they've mentioned, and I know it's gonna be sad news to the one person I know in chat. I'm just gonna like straight heart to heart, Zlint. I'm sorry, they're not gonna do piles of silky sand. They just say just consume it. I'm sorry.
Well, don't you just break down the sand, don't you? And
Yeah.
The only problem is it breaks down in piles of 10, so you're ending up with single digits in,
right, yeah, I have that too. It takes up an
Which is-
inventory spot.
which is annoying, but give it a consume all, and that'll reduce carpal tunnel on your clicking finger. I am honestly really happy about all this. I kind of wish that when they did this pass, everything that was in your bank would automatically get ported to material storage, because I have a lot of this like vision crystals and the shimmering and tenebrous crystals and stuff. I kind of wish that would just get shifted over, but it is what it is. I don't know, like stuff like this.
Well,
I feel like stuff like this should have been monitored from the start. I mean, the material storage has been a thing since being launched. So I feel like whenever they add stuff that is crafting, it should have gone in material storage. I mean,
right.
look at like literally all of the materials that scribes use are getting its own category.
It's good. I mean, as
Yes.
someone who just re-leveled Scribe not too long ago, oh, jeez.
Why? Because you delete
You
that
get
other
so much-
character?
You get so much. Let's not get into that. You get so much leftover stuff from like trying to leveling up Scribe, and then you put a booster on, so then you're out of whack with the guide a little bit, and it's just you get a lot of leftover pieces for scribing that you may not want to go out of your way to use right away, because scribing can be kind of expensive to make certain pieces.
Deo, I think that means he already deleted that character.
Yes, I did.
Um,
Not important.
But I have to admit, like all the stuff that they've, like the bloods, like it's one of the, like I understand the thing for Miani, but it's like a lot of the other like Elonian wine. Like you're gonna toss it in the Mystic Forge. She's right there. Why would you overbuy Elonian wine when she's right there?
Because some of us have the item that you can use the Mystic Forge wherever you want.
That's right.
But you're literally
that
buying
thing
it for
is
the.
so useful in World vs. World. Let me tell you.
But then you'd still have to go to Miani to buy it,
That's
and then
true.
you'd have to go to your bank to get the stuff out. So you'd have to have both the portable Mystic Forge and a portable bank.
No,
Which
for
is some
example,
people, yes.
You need a portable
but-
Mayani, apparently, so it's more legit. Like,
some people have the permanent bank access, but for people like me, I like to be in LA. I like to park at the weapon, the weapon crafting station, and just do all my stuff there.
Except for when you need to run over and buy your wine and then run back to your
Exactly,
weapon.
it's annoying. So that I just buy in bulk, I just put it in my bank, and wherever I need it's right there. Perfect.
I will say this. Sometimes you buy crystals or the philosopher's thing, and it's an odd number that you need, right? So you're left with like leftovers.
Spares,
or,
yeah.
Well, you can already deposit them now, but that happens with the reagent things.
The other thing happens with patches
Anyway.
if you're crafting lower level stuff, because I know the tier 5 and tier 6 patches, you use all of the patches you make in a single craft, but for some of the lower tiers you make 5 at a time and you only use like 2 or 3 for an insignia. So adding the patches in and the dowels, that's kind of sensible, I guess. But
any other thoughts on the additional material storage? Like anything? Is there something on that
Can't
list
wait
that
for
like maybe
you.
you want in?
It's a long list. I have to comb through it, but I doubt it. It seems like she's covered everything in it. It also seems like too, going forward, Tomes of Knowledge, God.
nope.
It seems like going forward too, they've been good at adding the new currencies, which is a big deal, right? Every new map has, jade shards, firework blooms, and whatever. So it seems like they're on top of that now, where they're adding those to material storage, which is pretty important.
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with this. Yeah.
I think that one of the Tomes of Knowledge, I think, needs some kind of storage or a consume all option. Another one that wasn't mentioned is rare crests, which are used for something, I think. But they don't have storage like orbs do that are gemstones.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, they get the balloons in there now, but not crests. Were crests not on the list?
Nope.
Oh yeah, because they're kind of like
You can use
sigils and
crests.
rings.
Right. You can use crests to make amalgamated gemstones.
Amalgamated gemstones are in there.
Have
They're
a
on the
chance
list.
to. Right, but you use the crests to forge into it. You can try to forge into it.
But and luck is another one that somebody mentioned.
Oh
here
my
that's not on the
gosh,
list.
luck. Oh, listen, something has to be done about luck. We just got a new gobbler in World vs. World that I desperately want, even though I have no real use for. I love the gobblers. I don't know what it is. I love gobbling things. Just it's like it's like having
things.
It's like having a little doll, and it's like eat more, eat it. Yes, gobble it up. I love it. But luck is out of control for me. I don't know what to do with it. I can't refine it anymore. I'm running out of bank space. I literally have to make alternate characters with 20 slot bags to store luck. I have so much luck. There's nothing to do with it. And don't get me wrong, I hit cap a long time ago, so not as many people are going to be in the position that I'm in right now. But within one more year, a lot more people will be where I'm already at. They're starting to hit cap because luck has been out long enough now. You get luck for everything. I the other day, and this is probably a mistake, but I can't eat any more of it. I'm luck capped. The other day I went and broke down. I needed tier 6 dust, so I actually broke ectos down to do it, which is a terrible thing. You shouldn't do. But you get luck from that. It just rained luck into my inventory. I'm like, I don't want you. Get out. No more luck. I don't need you. Stop. Give me more dust. I don't want luck. The luck is out of control. Raise the cap. Give me a gobbler. Give me a luck gobbler. Why not a luck gobbler? You gobble almost everything else in the game. Give me something to eat luck.
There you go, your net. That's your next gobbler.
I'm honestly surprised that doesn't exist already, but
I'm saving 3,000 blue tier luck for what do you call it? Ram Day? No, the Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year. Jeez. Because you can take the new back piece and you can upgrade it to the exotic version. You can take rare to exotic, and so you can make money doing that. And you need only the blue luck, and you can't break luck. Like if I make everything into exotics, I can't break it back down, unfortunately. But so I have 3,000 blue luck, and everything else is exotic, and I have no space for any of it. And this is just since Lunar New Year. At Lunar New Year, I gave the Spud Club 7,000 exotic luck because I don't have any. And clicking each luck will break your mouse. You have to click so much for the guild hall. So like, there's nothing to do with it. It's getting out of control. For anyone who's capped, you know my pain. It is terrible. And please add a gobbler.
Would you say
I don't want storage.
Strong?
I don't want material storage. Do not give me material storage. Give me a gobbler so something can eat it, like Pac-Man. Give me a Pac-Man. Make it look like Pac-Man. Matter of fact, because the luck kind of looks like little. Make a Pac-Man gobbler. I'll buy it on the Gemstore. You know what? Put it in the Gemstore. You need to make some money. 400 gems. I'll pay 400 gems for that and make a luck gobbler.
Oh.
Thank you.
Inks is begging ArenaNet to let him pay them for this. That's when you know it's bad.
That's how bad luck is. I just 400 gems, ArenaNet. Make a Pac-Man gobbler to eat my luck. Please help me.
Do you think the pain's so strong that the tears come at night? Like,
oh boy.
If I had that set up, I would have so played it. Anyway, Okay, let's move
No.
on. What?
I said no. Continue.
Move on before we get stuck on something else.
Let us take a look at the Gemstore. So always thank you, Dolphy.net. Check out Dolphy.net so you can spend your gems more wisely. Maybe on, a thing to help inks. But not this time. First up, the Magic Carpet Glider, and you can get that for 400 gems. Now, you can get the Magic Carpet Glider and Travel Toy combo because we've had the Travel Toy in the Gem Store prior, and currently you can get that at 500 gems. I think it's 23% off. What was it, 600 gems normally?
Something like that.
But, yeah, so, what are your guys' thoughts? The nice thing about this, it's just like the toy toy combo, or the toy Magic Carpet, where if you are whatever guild you're representing, that's the logo on the carpet, as you can see on Dolphy's there. But your thoughts on the Magic Carpet Glider?
Took them long enough?
People are upset because ArenaNet wants 400 gems for this, and people bought it. They bought the toy already, right? They paid 250 gems. I don't know if it was ever on sale for less than that. Maybe it was, but they paid 200. I have the toy. Paid 250 gems for the toy, and people were saying for a long time. It's funny because on Reddit, people were asking for the carpet and the broom, and I think one other item. That's
the magic mirror, which is basically the
magic mirror, which is basically the carpet, right?
Yeah.
They were saying, make these gliders. We'll pay for it. So Arena's like, okay. And now people are like, I don't want to pay for this. Are you crazy? I already bought the toy. I already paid 250 gems. Listen, ArenaNet, you gave me white and black feathered wings gliders for free, and I paid 500. What is the matter with you? Where's the goodwill? And I get it, right? I do understand why some people feel a bit cheated or slighted because they bought it once, but this is the glider, so they're asking you to pay again. And if you buy the bundle, which, by the way, I think the bundle is a good thing because it's taking the glider and the toy and it's selling it for less. That's what a bundle should do, right?
Yeah, not like some of the bundles they used to have.
Right. The problem is, so that's a good thing, but the problem is if you're like me, and you bought it a long time ago for 250 gems, well, they're not going to discount you the bundle price and save you gems, right? You just need to pay 400 for the glider. And I think that's where people are getting a bit ticked off. They feel a bit cheated or whatever because straight out, some people feel like they should be giving it to it for free, which I say is ridiculous. It's 250 gems. Like, there's no glider that's even 250 gems. Like, the gliders are at least 400, right? So yeah. I don't think this is too big a deal. It doesn't bother me that much. But I do understand why some people feel a bit slighted or feel a bit cheated. I do think that there could have been ways to maybe discount it a little bit if you own the toy already so that you could participate in the bundle, like save some gems. But I don't know. Some people were really upset about this on Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I couldn't agree with the people that were using the comparison of the wings and then when the gliders came out, they turned them into those for free because first off, they're not the same, and there has been a history of both tracks because that's a back piece that turns into a glider. These are toys that double, right. Like not double as a glider, but there's just two separate items working at the same time. We've had that with that electromagnetic ascender and descender, which right. I think first they came out with the glider, then the toy, and then they did bundles, which yeah. I don't know if there was a deal there. I didn't look it up, but we've had that history of you don't just get it for free. Like, unlike the backpack one that was very kind of them, I think. But
and oddly enough, I don't have the red one because I came out with the red version later of the Ascended Lightning, whatever they called it, Bloodstone, whatever. I have the blue version, the original, and I have the toy and I have the glider, and they were bought separate because one came out before the other. But I guess it just depends how much you like this. I don't think asking they could have asked 500 really. I don't think asking 400 is that bad. I do get that some people want a discount or whatever, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, you got to figure it's 400 for the bundle. You're basically getting a glider for probably the lower end cost that gliders normally come out for, and you're getting another carpet toy for another character, as long as you don't delete all your characters.
Oh boy.
I guess. Well, no, the bundle is what, 600, 500?
500 currently,
500.
but I think at normal value it was like 600 or 650 or something. But
it was 600, which is still cheaper than, even if they sold it for normal price, not discounted bundle. It was because it was still 50 gems cheaper. I talked about this with Kate because the toy was originally 250, gliders 400. It should have been 650 in a bundle, but it's 600 in a bundle and then discounted to 500, which is even better, right? Which I think is good. That's good for a Rejuvenated. That's the, in my opinion, the right way to do it. But I do understand some people saying that they would have liked a bit of a discount on it. To those saying that they think they should get it for free, I mean,
yeah, I can't side with those people. Like but I can see where people are coming from with would have liked a discount or something like that. I can see
if
that.
You want to compare it to, like, a lot of people compare it to the black and white wings. Well, you paid, and don't get me wrong, you got a steal there. Rejuvenated did give some goodwill out there because a back piece glider combo is 700 gems normally on the Gemstore without any kind of discounts or whatever, right? So you're paying 400 for the glider, or 400 to 500 for the glider, another 200 to 300 for the back piece, which is still a little bit discounted. And in the case of the black and white wings, they were 500 gems each, which means you basically paid for a premium glider, which I don't know that I would call the white and black wings premium, but you know, you basically paid for a premium glider and you got the back piece, or the other way around, I guess. So a little bit of extra goodwill there. I guess they could have done that with the carpet a little bit, gave you a discount on the glider, but I don't know.
The concept of backpack glider combos came out like kind of shortly after one of the wing sets released. I think the white wings, and they just I think the white wings came out first as a glider backpack combo, and then they went back and just said everybody who bought the black wings have glider. Because I know it was kind of close on the heels of the release of one of the wings, was really close to when they started doing the glider backpack combos. Yeah, honestly,
I can't remember when
it's been a while.
Happened in.
The biggest issue I really have is more that the only gliders you can obtain in game are the legendary backpacks. So I think people would be a little less annoyed with gliders coming into the game if there were a few gliders you could get in game.
They would be huge. They would be fantastic rewards, to say the least. I even recommended this for one of the raid achievements. So for Wing 1, there's an achievement for not dying within the raid, ever.
Right. For the Eternal title.
For the Eternal. Now, in other MMOs that I've played, I think World of Warcraft had something similar, but Rift definitely had a thing where if you completed all of the achievements in a raid wing, you got a special mount. And the gliders are, for all intents and purposes, a lot like a mount in other games, right? It's a showy thing. It's different flavor, whatever.
Traversal mechanic of some kind, yeah.
Sure, yeah. So, you know, I felt like doing Wings 1, 2, and 3, all of the achievements should have rewarded you with the Soul River glider. Of course, that was sold in the Gemstore, so that's regardless, I guess. But I felt like that would have been a fantastic reward. And it goes beyond raids. It doesn't just have to be raids. There could have been one for fractals. I mean, there was the legendary one, I guess, so maybe that takes up that spot. But there's no reason why there can't be some in the open world. And more so on top of that, one of the things that they sold in the Gemstore that I really liked was the mini treasure chest, the Mimic, and the gift. So that what happened was when you bought, one of them gave you a glider, by the way, and one gave you an extra mini, but it sent you on a little quest. You did the quest, you bought this thing from the Gemstore, so whatever, you know, there's some gray area there. But you paid $350 or whatever it was, you bought the thing, you got your mini, and then there was a quest involved with it that at the very end got you another mini for one of them, and the other one gave you a glider. So, I mean, I would have loved to see more stuff like that. That way you get a little extra content along with it, or just put those content pieces in the game every once in a while. Like, I don't know what the current events team is doing. I guess maybe they're preparing for the expansion, because we haven't seen them in a long while. But that would be a fantastic reward for a current event, some kind of glider or a toy and a glider, whatever, you know what I mean? It's a bit of a shame, a bit of a missed opportunity, I think. And unfortunately, you know, expansion-wise, whatever the expansion is going to hold, you know, without getting into leaks and all that other kind of stuff, this kind of sales practice, unfortunately, is going to continue. And I don't begrudge ArenaNet trying to make money. They need to make money. They need to, you know, the players need to help support the game. But I think there also needs to be some of this earnable in game, so that, you know, there's a little bit of give and take. I mean, look at Blackline weapons, for example. And earning the gold and buying off the trading post is not the same as, like, doing the quest for Traherne to earn a weapon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the only way to get in-game gliders is like legendaries, so that's
which they're cool, even though some of the Gemstore gliders are cooler looking. But
I have further thoughts on the subject, but I don't want to turn a 5-minute Gemstore segment into another half hour of the show when we're hitting 2 hours. So I'll wait until after show.
Fair enough. But there's, real quick, let's take the Spirit glider. Some people hate it because of how gigantic it is. Some people love it. But just think if there would have, if there was some sort of spirit quest that you could have gone on to get that glider. That's amazing. That would have been freaking cool, especially if you're a Norn. But I mean, you don't want to be at Norn, just Norn exclusive. But that would have been amazing. I just think there's some missed opportunities.
I'm fine with Norn exclusive.
I just want to add on to that a little bit. They could have used the Spirit Quest tonic to actually trigger the beginning of all.
People would have hated that raids. Anyway, yeah.
But other than besides that, they have given us new eye colors to choose from if you use a Total Makeover kit. Now, remember, you have to use the Total Makeover kit or any of the kits. It's not from character creation, so you always. But they are the Blue Orchid, Golden, Brass, Verdant, Rain, and Rose. So.
Yay!
Cool.
Yeah. So those are there. I mean, but I think some of the well, before we get into this one, some of the returning items, Mist Herald back item skin set, 500 gems, which basically is a little flag that sticks out of your back that has your guild emblem on it. Permanent Mystical Dragon Finisher and the Permanent Minstrel Finisher. The back skin is 500 gems. The finishers are 800 gems apiece. But also this past week, the guaranteed wardrobe unlocks that you can get from Black Lion chests have been updated with over 700 new items. Holy crap. Now, I know there's I think there have been a couple bugs with it, which I think they're addressing or have addressed. I don't know if they've been.
Has been addressed. Yeah.
Okay, so they've dealt with it. Yeah, which it was showing one of the Hellfire chest piece, basically the achievement chest piece that you could get.
Yep.
Yeah. Which I figured it was a bug because when someone else looked it up, it did not have they had the Hellfire but not the Radiant set, and it didn't have the Radiant set listed. It'd be very weird if they, So, luckily that was a bug. Do not worry. That's not achievable through any other means besides achievements as of, now.
And they took it away. It wasn't meant to be there.
Yeah, that's good. Did they add the Blackline weapons that were taken out and put them into Blackline chests as part of the guarantee?
Yeah, a lot of them are in there. Yep.
Okay.
Like,
Nice.
For example, I should double check before I say that. I was going to say Skellerite, but I'm pretty sure Skellerite is in the wardrobe unlock.
Like, for example, Dominator was taken out, right? As something you could buy. Is that in the chest now?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. That's pretty cool. I think that's actually a pretty decent idea.
Hmm?
Well,
Yep.
so here's the thing. So before we, a couple mentions on the 700 items I added, but even before the 700 items, there were always a number of underwater weapons, generally speaking, that were in the wardrobe but not obtainable in the game. Like there's in LA, there's a Lion Guard spear, for example. You could never. There's a bunch of them anyway. Those are all obtainable in the wardrobe unlock as well. They have been for some time.
Okay.
The only point of contention that I've seen from some people is that the celebration hat is in the wardrobe unlock. It was added, which was something you got free on the Gemstore if you were there at launch, right? It's like the first 2 weeks or something. And I've seen some people say they were a little disappointed that that was in there because it means that people who start tomorrow, it takes away that exclusivity, I guess. It takes away the, I guess, marking of the occasion of having that. But I don't have a Guild Wars 2 t-shirt outfit, so I say added.
I was gonna say, I agree with that. Where it's like, oh, you know, it's because you know it's not adding, you know, you don't have a statistical advantage, but it's like, oh, where'd you get that hat? Like, you know, it stands out because you know there's very few baseball caps in Tyria, but you know it brings up that story.
That make you bald.
If they're going that route, yeah, throw in the shirt. I don't have the shirt, so.
I have that. I don't use it because it cuts off your hair.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I think there's a set of glasses still missing because they haven't been back to the Gemstore in a very long time. Sports glasses or something. I don't own them, so I have no idea.
I thought it was the reader's glasses.
Readers are in there. That I know.
Okay.
It's sports or something. Anyway, there's still a set of glasses missing. But they did add a bunch of the outfits that the armor pieces you need for the Emperor's title. So the tier 3.
Yeah, a lot of
they added a lot
cultural.
of the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cultural stuff. They added all of the priory weapons and armor, the vigil and that stuff was all added. What else? I have a list somewhere of a bunch of stuff that was added, but most of it, unfortunately, I have unlocked, so it's hard to kind of take a look at all that stuff. But they added all the outfits up to Rox and Timey. No Casimir outfit, which is the brand new one, but all of the other outfits that are part of Dragon's Watch are now available in the wardrobe unlock. They added Privateer and Gargoyle skins. I don't think they were in there before. They added a couple of minis in there, including the Celestial Rooster, which was a BLC exclusive. If you missed out on that, that's in the wardrobe unlock. The Chalk and Arc weapons are added in the wardrobe unlock, so it's possible for you to get those rather than actually earning them. Plated weapons are in the wardrobe unlock. I think we talked about pretty much the other stuff. They added a bunch of stuff too, like the Storm Bow, the Dragon Kamas, Kurzik Dual Axe, and stuff like that was all added to the wardrobe unlock. So a lot of Gemstore stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's basically it for this week. So, Jim, where can they find you?
I can be found on Twitter at MalthanusMMO. You can also find me here on twitch.tv/TalkingSkrit on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard for our Zero to Hero PvP nights. So come on over, hang out. Hope to see you there.
Awesome, awesome. And Age, where can they find you?
Twitch or YouTube at Age Night. Or I'm usually playing World vs. World, and since the season's starting next week, I might do my placements, and we'll see how that goes. I mean, the very first time is like I got silver. This last season I got gold, so who knows what will happen. And I did promise I'd do it with Jebra Malthanus, so we'll see. I don't know.
And Inks, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at MMO Inks.
Awesome. And you can find me at Simply_Day on Twitch and Twitter. And if you're just popping at the very end, we do put this, we do an after show, so do stick around. But if you want to watch the show in full, we usually do clip it or highlight it on Twitch. But if YouTube's your fancy, we put that up on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you're watching on YouTube or just caught the clip on Twitch, try to tune in live. We do pre-show, after show, and all that fun stuff. That goes up. That goes live 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on Saturdays. And I would like to thank Serene Virus, That Chevron, and Cascade187 for the host this week. And as always, we will see you in the game. Good night, everybody.